folks. Welcome back to the SBL Award Show. I'm still AJ0. I'm still joined here with I'm Just Dan. I'm still joined here with 30. And as you can see, there was a lot of preparation that went into this event, as we are going to be live streaming this off of Google Docs. So we're going to just take a moment to get the rest of our analyst desk up in here.
Microphone activated.
Do I buy the skins? What? Do I buy the skins?
Yeah.
No, don't. No, don't buy the skins.
Do it.
But I have to buy the skins. It's more money. Don't. You don't need the skins. But I want to look cool.
User was
Dude.
moved
I
to
know.
your channel.
Alright, folks.
User joined
We're going to
your
get pretty
channel.
crazy here. We're going to even bring Twitch chat up
User
on
joined
the
your
stream.
channel.
Am I supposed to be here?
Why not, dude? Welcome to the club.
Okay, hi.
Everyone, please welcome the Xmas Tree. You may remember him from that dominant Blitzcrank performance.
I mean, that's a word.
We can also
I'm here
welcome Thrifty Senpai and Master Splinter, and soon we are hopefully going to welcome On the Wind and Blabooer. I can't show the password on stream. Somebody drag On the Wind in.
Trey, get him.
And Blab as well.
User
And then we
was
will have
moved to
everyone.
Somebody drag on the wind.
Thanks.
Welcome abroad. So, On the Wind, how does it feel to have finally been abused like the boosted animal you are?
Oh, I mean, it was all the rest of our team getting shit on. I was just trying to have fun farming on my island top lane, and Splinter had to ruin all of the good fun. Like
Dude.
usual.
I would have went Zach, but I didn't think about it until we were like in game. Like he picked Hecarim, I should have picked Zach, but too late.
Yeah. I should have played Azir.
Microphone muted.
Yes.
Microphone
That would've been
activated.
good.
Well, I think we're ready to begin here, guys. So, just a heads up on what this format is going to be like. We're going to just kind of go down the list. These awards have mostly been kept secret, other than the few I've leaked, because I'm awful. And I'm going to just kind of go down the list, category by category, and then I'm going to nominate somebody or two to talk about that player, and then we're going to circle jerk that player, and then we're going to move on to the next one. Does that sound good to you guys?
Sound good?
Andy's for
No
everybody.
complaints.
Alright, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to input the person on the spreadsheet as we get to them, and then on this notepad I have open down here at the end of breaking down a position, I'm going to go over the points that were awarded. So the way this worked is the 16 captains, myself, 30, On the Wind, Blabooer, Thrifty Senpai, Master Splinter, we each had 2 votes for each of these categories except for MVP, which had 3 votes. So each first vote a person gave out was worth 2 points, each second vote a person gave out was 1 point. And no one could vote for any player on their own team. So that meant a maximum of 10 points was possible at every position except MVP, which had 15 possible. So 10 points would be unanimous and so forth. So if that's too much for you to handle, please tell me in Twitch chat. I will explain to you, you fucking retards.
And
But-
these were all stars based on the regular season,
Yes.
not anything off the playoffs.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
These votes were all compiled between week 10 and the quarterfinals, so there was no playoff bias here, just like in real sports. The playoffs don't actually matter. And Waifu Superstar had a wonderful second place season. So, on to the awards. And we are going to start with our all-star first place top laner, TDO Purple Pickle Pie. And I love the sound of my own voice, so I'm going to start this one off, as I was also a top lane player this season. And I'd like to give a little anecdote about Purple Pickle Pie. A week before, between the draft and week 1, my team did a best-of-2 scrim versus TDO, who were, at the time, favorites to be last place. Obviously, they were a bit better than that. I went up against Purple Pickle Pie in the top lane, and Jesus Christ, he put so much pressure on me in laning phase. Like, it was just unreal in that first game. I was shitting my pants for all of laning phase, and he just basically went off and hard carried that game. And that wasn't something he did in every game all season, but that was something he was able to do in a very significant number of games all season. Obviously, 8-2 in the regular season for TDO. And I think the thing that was more impressive was that he could play a really wide variety of champions. He could play most of them well. And he would just roam across the map. He had, I thought, good teleports a lot of the time. And it was just really impressive for a guy who's been trying to get into top lane for the past year and a half to finally do so and to show up as well as he did. Really the third position that Purple Pickle Pie's played at an elite level in the SBL. I was super impressed by him all season. I was just a big... Why is Blue not in the booth?
Move him.
Move him back!
User was moved
Lab.
to your channel.
Welcome
There we
back.
go.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Dumb Drum.
I messaged 2 of you.
I'm busy. I'm busy circle jerking Purple Pickle Pie, man.
He has to justify why he got dumpstered in lane.
So, 30. You were his team captain. What would you say Purple Pickle Pie meant to your team?
He meant a lot. Like he, aside from me, like he was a shot caller. He's very vocal, very positive person. If anything, he is definitely the most positive person on that team, even more positive than me. And he's like a good, solid player all around. Like I don't think there's many weaknesses to Purple. Sometimes he might die early. That's all right. Like everyone makes mistakes. He's fantastic.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up my thoughts. Anyone else have any Purple Pickle Pie stories they'd like to add? Anytime he just fucked you up in a game?
I'm sure he teleported bot lane at some point. But I mean, that's every top lane, so. Yeah.
Fuck Nautilus.
Dude's good. Dog bag.
I actually didn't know Purple pretty much at all before this season. If anything, I had just a very neutral, maybe slightly negative impression in my head.
That's probably because he was on Team Swift as shit, and everyone on that team had a negative impression on everyone.
That's exactly why. So when he got drafted to my team, I was like, oh no.
It's also worth noting that he's Boozgraf's brother, and he kind of got looped in with Boozgraf a lot of times in conversations that have been had, even though he's not shit at the game and seemingly a better person, whereas Boozgraf just like talks shit and loses lane every game. Purple talks less shit and wins lane almost every game.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, Purple Pickle Pie, with the well-deserved first team All-Star there. And coming in on the second team, me.
Is it a good thing this was only for regular season Swift?
Yes.
Oh, it begins.
You got
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
you got so many lucky plays in the playoffs. Honestly, okay, you know what, Kyle? You remember that time you tried to tower dive me, and then I just completely turned and outplayed you and like walked out with 10 health?
Oh yeah, my screen wasn't like on the tower, and then I autoed a minion. It was pretty sweet.
That was
But it's okay.
wonderful.
Remember that time that didn't translate into a win, even though you were up against an Aurelia?
Do you know who was in my jungle last season? But no, let's not make this about the playoffs. Let's go to the regular season.
No, I'll talk. Okay.
Okay,
So,
go for it.
Swift is a top laner this season. Did a lot. So like he had tried shifting to top lane last season, and then after a
seasons
train
ago.
wreck of a season, he shifted back down to 80 carry and like kind of got his team there again. Based a lot on being able to shot call from that position, and from what I know about Swift, like he tends to take a lot of like the late game shot calling things, and obviously I can't say what happened on his team, but it seemed a lot like he was able to actually have more of an impact from top lane, and that he really like adjusted well. I think really his biggest weakness in top lane is his champion pool, whereas like you said, Purple can play anything. You have a handful of champions that you're incredibly good on, but like it isn't nearly as wide as Purple. which is why I think like Purple is by far the best top laner out of everyone, because he can just play anyone and plays it well as if like he mained them.
Well, I'd rather have 5 fingers than one. So I have to hype up Swift now because there were multiple games this season where Swift just had incredibly impactful plays, and despite the other team trying to pick him out, trying to ban him out, every single time he showed up, and let's say 9 out of 10 times, he did his role to absolute perfection. Like there was one game where where the other team, I think, took Jarvan, and then they banned out his other champ, but he slapped him on the Renekton. And then he played out of his mind that Renekton game. I still dream, and in those dreams, it's Swift teleporting in his Renekton, getting dropped to 10 health, and then home guarding back into the fight. Like, I have to stop talking about it because I'm getting slightly erect.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Swift got recognized for actually being not a shit top laner, because a lot of people kind of had that thought about him from the previous season when he had to switch back to ADC for his team to do anything. So everyone thought he was a crap top laner, and I called that he's not a crap top laner.
I think he also improved a lot this season compared to the last one. Like,
I think so too, but I mean, like, I've played with him as a top laner for
He
a
also
long
added
time.
Jarvan as a second champ, as opposed to just Renekton.
Dude, before he even had more. When Ryze was the top laner, watch out.
All right, Shree, do you have anything you want to add to this, since you were obviously on the team with me?
Literally, without your shot calling, we would have been a team full of retards. I mean, we still were a team full of retards, but we at least had a goal in mind while being retards.
All right. I think that's a good summary of Waifu Superstar. So, vote count there, we've got 9 votes out of a possible 10 for Purple Pickle Pie, 7 for me, and then you see there was 1 vote for I'm Just Dan, 1 vote for On the Win there. So myself and Purple Pickle Pie actually had the maximum number of combined votes between the two of us. Both of our teams voted for the other's first team all-star, and the other 4 teams voted for the 2 of us in some order. So that was a pretty consensus top 2 top laners in the league, and after the regular season, I would definitely agree with it. So moving on to the jungle here, this one should not surprise anyone, was a unanimous selection for TDO's Thermidor. 30, I'm gonna let you start with this one.
This guy's a monster. Like, once again, because I had not a negative impression of Thermidor, like, attitude or personality-wise as a player, but more like, I didn't know he was this good. Because, who did he play on last season?
He played on my team, Guerrilla Radio. 5th place, you may remember, Aros quit the game after week 2, and we couldn't even field 5 of our actual roster in 4 games, so we actually played Zeticus 4 times, and it was just a train wreck of a season, and we still almost made playoffs, and a huge part of that was thanks to him.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember watching those games, and, like, you know, he played Shyvana, and, like, he'd go off, like, one game, but then, like, next week he wouldn't go off, and it'd be, like, really bad. And so I had this, like, sort of really mixed impression. But, man, this guy almost never messes up. He plays so well every game, and he takes it pretty seriously every game, too. Doesn't say a lot, but that's the beauty of Thermidor. He doesn't have to say a lot. His actions speak louder than words. I mean, I could talk all day about my team. Like, there's all of my teammates this season were fantastic, but without Thermidor, I don't think we would have got as far as we did, because he definitely carried us in multiple games throughout the season.
So, Wes, this is the first time in ever where you were not the consensus best jungler in the SBL. What did you think of Thermidor's play? Because this is the first time you've had serious competition at the jungle position.
Yeah, I thought he did great. He definitely was the best jungler this season, so well deserved. He could play a lot of different champions and types of jungle. Like, early in the season, he did a lot of the Devour champions, and, you know, you don't gank as much on those, but if your team doesn't feed early on, then they come out and you can destroy people. And then he also showed that he can do those early game gankers and whatnot and carry his lanes and get them ahead and whatnot. So yeah, he deserves it. Not much else to say.
And then Swift was killed.
Sorry, I was talking shit in Twitch chat. Yeah, no, Thermidor, this guy was a fucking god. Like, I was blown away so many times this season watching him play. I'm so happy I got the opportunity to cast so many of this guy's games. To those of you that didn't look at the SBL regular season stats that Thrifty Senpai put together, he actually had the highest gold per minute in the entire league. That is just unheard of from the jungle. And it just speaks to just how many games Thermidor went off and was completely the driving force for such a good team. So, happy for the boy. He was fantastic. And second team All-Star Jungle was the SS boosted Seaman himself, Dub Drum. So Kyle, he was on
pretty
YouTube.
close race.
If you would like to maybe, what was playing with Dub Drum like?
I mean, I've played with him before. I'm used to it. That snake came out really bad. That sounded awful.
Yeah.
Dub Drum, I like you. Don't listen to any of them. No, I mean, he never visited top lane, but no, that's not true either. No, he's a really good jungler. There's sometimes that he has lapses in judgment, but overall he plays incredibly well, especially when it really counts, which I'd say were the last couple games of the season and then all through playoffs. So when it comes to games mattering and a big deal, he just fucking plays out of his mind and comes out of nowhere. It's where did this come from? Okay, now this is why you're that good. Just do this all the time, man, please.
Besides finals, right?
Huh?
Besides the finals, right?
And he played fine in the finals. He didn't go off like he did in the semis.
I expect
In the
semis,
semis,
he was if this was the semis, he would have gotten more than those 4 points.
Something also to comment, besides the fact that he had so much gank pressure in some games when he'd just go off, he also actually had a really good vision game out of the junglers. Looking at from the stats overall of the league, during the regular season, he had the second most wards destroyed per game.
Yeah, in
and
a lot of the games.
He was also in the top 5 for wards per minute. And he was top 5 in assists per game, which kind of helped. That kind of goes for his assist style, where he's ganking a ton. So
that was the big thing that he focused on. So a lot of times when he wouldn't be ganking, he would just be lighting up the entire map. Be like, hold on guys, I got a bag to fill up my trinket wards again. Just non-stop.
Yeah, Dub did really good.
And he did what your team needed. Also,
yeah, I didn't expect him to do as good as he did. So congratulations to Dub Job. That was really well. I didn't think he'd be able to get off as many ganks as he did. So
Yeah, Thrifty, if you're not watching Twitch chat, if you could drop a link for the stats. Oh, already done. God bless Babooer.
Got it.
So, moving on down the list here. Next up, going to go to the mid lane. And first team All-Star, going to be our first player on this list that was not in the playoffs. 2 Kawaii to live, 2 Sugoi to die, Thrifty Senpai. You're back, dude. You were gone for a while, but you were finally back this season. You were the only reason that 2K2S wasn't the worst SBL team, literally worse than WCF. In the NFL, if a starting quarterback of if an Aaron Rodgers player goes down, that usually is supposed to cost the team 4 or 5 wins, which is about a quarter of their wins. If you went down, your team, probably would have lost 30% of their wins. So basically, you were probably more valuable than Aaron Rodgers.
Damn.
That's wow. That's
That's
the
a
highest
lot.
compliment in Wisconsin.
I was gonna say. Holy shit.
So, Blab, you played against him in the mid lane. I know you might not be as high on him as I am, but what did you think of Alice this split?
I mean, my game is the one game I got camped the crap out of, so I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. But in the rest of the games, no, he showed up. You guys keep referencing those stats. The most interesting one I thought about Thrifty was he averaged 36% of his team's damage. Like, that's insane.
That's nuts.
That's retarded. Like, you will never see somebody hard carrying like that.
Yeah, I mean, if he had any team around him, then he'd have been golden. But not this season.
Yeah. So average percentage of team damage dealt, Thrifty Senpai was in first with 36.6%. The next closest was 31%. Just to add some context there. Just absolutely insane. We saw him doing it on a whole variety of different champions, trying to find something to spark for that team. Who, I mean, looked solid at one point. There was that 3-game winning stretch in weeks 2 to 4 where 2K2S was kind of the golden boys of the league before everyone realized it was literally just the Thrifty Senpai show.
It started off good, and then the wheels fell off the train, and it was
The
a
train
painful...
fell off the tracks, and then the moon fell
Yeah.
out of the sky and destroyed Termina. And then, like you
Yeah.
said, it was corrupted.
It was corrupted.
Just,
Ouch.
It was unlucky as fuck.
I went to entirely strip Epic of any credit, though, because his ganks were on point, and in that win streak, he was one of the key reasons that Thrifty was rolling early, and then, Thrifty, you give him a little bit of lead, and he's going to run away with it every time.
Yeah, Epic was really big. I think, like, something that we had in the beginning of the season, he was able to put a lot of early pressure, which was able to, like, allow me to get a lead and snowball it, which helped me a lot. I think that was another part of our problem. Like, the team is, like, people started adapting to our style.
Season 6, the hard carries are dead.
Welcome to League of Legends.
Although, like, the average skill of the league is going up a lot as well.
Yeah, it has.
Alright, so moving on to second team All-Star Mid. This was one I expected to be pretty hotly contested, but this did end up going over to Blabur. I guess, Alice, we'll let you kick this one off if you'd be willing.
Alright. So, Blue's always been, like, one of the stronger mids, like, ever since he's joined the league. He's had... I mean, one thing to point out is, like, he just drew a ban every single game. Like, he didn't even get Vel'Koz. Like, people, like, my scary thing was Zyra, and people let me get Zyra twice. They didn't let Blab get Vel'Koz at all. So, like, they kind of give, like,
Even
perspective.
through playoffs.
Yeah, even through playoffs. Like, he got 13 bans against it, like, throughout the season.
14.
14? Okay, damn. Oh, because the 1v1s. Or...
No,
Well, okay,
playoffs.
not the 1v1, that's another, but we had
Oh,
4
playoffs.
games in playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
so-
That's 4 guys. That's right. My bad.
Yeah, not
I
even
forgot
1v1s.
about the. I forgot about the game too. But yeah, so yeah, like people really fear that. And I mean, he has got a little kind of some like wonky picks in his champ pool, like where he like busted out like. Then they didn't always work out, where he had like the Jarvan and the Scion, and sometimes they did work out. But Vlad would always like he would have some games where like he would like never do anything like super flashy in the laning phase, but then team fights would come and he'd just sit back, and the man is a master of just drawing no attention to himself, because he sits back and fights, and it's like he doesn't even have to like evade everything most of the time. It's like people just somehow like just miss him, and then he just craps out damage. It's like, oh hey, Vlad picked up a triple, Vlad picked up a Kaja, and the next thing you know, you have a really fed Lux, LeBlanc, or whatever.
Yeah, I also feel like Blab was like one of the main reasons that his team won some of their games, though, too. You know, like he wasn't just pressuring mid; he roamed to other lanes and got kills for his teams and himself.
A lot of the times, like when that team was seeing success, it seemed like it was the Blab or Viv show.
Right.
I remember like Blab had that game on the Blanc where he just went off, and then like Viv
And I think-
had that one game with Kalen where he like just single-handedly was like wiping fights.
And I think that's why he deserves a second pick. I mean, you look at the other teams like Thor and Wang, like they could have potentially been, you know, all-star mid for second place, but their team they worked better as a team where Blab had to try to carry by himself. So I think you kind of give a little more praise to that, at least in my mind, that he didn't have all that other shit around him. So he had to do it himself in a lot of ways from what I've seen in the games.
I try. But like you said about the going unnoticed things, a couple games I don't even notice I'm doing anything. Like that Oriana week in particular. Apparently everyone thought I was making amazing ults, even though I completely whiffed too and thought I was doing trash the whole game. Then I got MVP for the week, so I'm like, I'll take it.
I think you had like 2 like 5-man ults or 4-man ults though. Too,
I
so
did have
kind of
MVP
makes up for it.
points, but I also completely whiffed too. I'm just like, oh come on. I am the boosted one.
Alright. So, gonna move on to AD carry here. And our only other unanimous selection of the All-Star teams. First team AD carry going to the SS boosted friendships Avalites. So, on the wins, this guy was on your team.
Yes, he was.
What can you tell me about Avalites? Obviously, his stock probably rose a little bit after the playoffs and, you know, that whole championship thing you guys did. But
Yes,
it was also
so-
very high going into the playoffs, apparently.
Yeah. So Evelite, this guy, he works like our bot lane works incredibly hard. Like they practiced all the time. Like we've just kept playing games after the season too, like nonstop. And Evelite is like the true carry. Like people would see a lot of Thor's early damage and everything. Like Thor would be on his ear or the other things, and like he would get focused down, and Evelite would kind of go under the radar, and then he would just tear shit up and just like completely carry late games. Like when you had played the Nasus game early on in the season, and he just came back and just went off with Vayne. And there were games where it's just like they would dominate lane and then just dominate late game. And like this kid was just really good, and like he was by far like the best player
Points
on our
to
team.
points to poke out like as well for where he landed on some of the stats. He had the highest kills per game in the regular season, and he also had the second highest gold per minute.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, he got a lot of resources, and then he did a lot with them.
Yeah.
Like, that's really super important, because there's a lot of times you see, even at professional level, where players get a lot of resources because they just don't know how to play without them, and they just do, like, kind of good with those resources. Like, Wild Turtle, towards the end of his TSM run, would get a lot of resources and just do okay. That wasn't Avalite. Avalite was get resources, win game.
Yeah.
5
He also had
sometimes.
the 5th highest CS per minute. So, like, he was farming well as well. It wasn't like he just relied on, like, straight up, like, getting kills.
Yeah, he definitely the most consistent ADC throughout the course of the season, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the best traits you could have as an ADC player. Really, really high highs and not very many lows. And if
The lows weren't that low.
Yeah.
Alright, so then moving on to second team All-Star AD carry, Waifu Superstars Salvo, who actually was a unanimous second team selection. The one team that couldn't vote for Evelite also voted for him seconds, which I thought was kind of funny. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
You supported them all, Split. What do you have? Can you say something nice about Salvo, please? We're on stream.
Do I have to?
Say something nice, then say something mean afterwards, so you're okay with yourself.
Nope, got nothing.
Okay, well, okay, so let me tell you what team fights on Waifu Superstar was like. Imagine, like, you're at a party, and me and Wang and Kragan are all over in the corner, and we're like, dude, let's just jump the enemy carries. And we're all like nodding our heads like, yeah, let's do that. And Salvo's like just sitting there on the other side of the room, and Tree's like just kind of standing next to him, and Tree just looks at me, he's like, we'll make this work, I guess. I don't think me, Wang, or Kragan peeled for Salvo a single time this entire season. Not even once. As we could always count on Salvo to still just put out huge, consistent DPS in team fights. Like, the way Salvo can play the game when no one is helping him out was such a big component of what made Waifu Superstar go.
He had the highest KDA in the league, third highest CS per minute, and kind of coinciding with KDA, he had the least deaths per game during the regular season.
Nice. Not surprised.
Also top 5 GPM, he was third, just right behind the second place Evilite.
See, the thing is, Salvo and my relationship consists entirely of shit talk. I'm pretty sure if we actually said anything nice to each other, we'd stop being friends.
Salvo, that means he values your relationship.
The nicest compliment you can give.
Yep.
I just wanna thank all the people that voted on this award for helping hurt Salvo by not voting for him as first team All-Star. He needed this. No, I was actually surprised that Salvo didn't get first team. I thought he would be first team, and I was really shocked when I saw the unanimous Evolite come in.
Evo, he deserved it.
Yeah, that's
played his
teammate bias.
play
Everyone's
season.
always biased for their own teammates, at least the
Right.
ones that play well. But still a successful season for Salvo, which, I mean, Salvo's always a guy that you know is going to plug and play and be a high-tier player every single split. And once again, he did that on a fairly successful team. So, moving on to support. I'm going to ask...
Who did I vote for AD carry, though?
You voted for Viverets first.
Okay, that's who I thought. I don't...
Spoilers.
Maybe I looked at the stat sheet wrong. I don't remember. There was a reason.
I gotta type this shit in. We had a tie at supports. Splitting the vote for first team supports was Waifu Superstars, the Xmas Tree, and Think Twice Die Once's 30, which for anyone that has known these two players in SBL history for years was pretty much the funniest thing that could have happened, because these two have always been compared to one another for as long as 30's been playing support. They've always been really similar players, and they've always been regarded to be at a pretty similar skill level. Obviously, 30 also adds the shot calling components. So I'm going to ask these two to talk about each other. 30, if you'd like to go first.
You want me to talk about Tree?
Yeah.
So Tree, I think played better mechanically than myself this season.
Wait, the playoffs don't exist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit. You're right. Fuck. That series. There's a lot of goofs. Oh yeah. I remember now. The Zaire game.
My playoffs was
Oh no.
not good.
Hey man. That happens. Anyway, yeah, definitely. You're a bigger playmaker. You're probably a huge playmaker for your team. Honestly, you basically won your bottom lane countless times. At least probably half the games throughout the regular season were won off of you making plays in the bottom lane that transitioned your team nicely into very powerful mid games. I mean, Tree can do it all too. Like just like me, like we're very versatile support players. You'll play anything the team requires. You also have pocket picks, niche pocket picks that you can pull out when you want to do that mad disrespect. Swift said that you'd practice the blitzcrank, but you never pulled it out through the regular season, which is sad to see. But I guess play to win.
For what it's worth, we were going to play Blitzcrank in week 10, but that motherfucker Zaku-sama picked it out from under our nose.
I was so upset when he did Blitzcrank. That was my entire plan for that week 10 game. and he took it. I cried.
Yeah, I think I agree that Tree should be above 30. He got carried by Ghost 32, but no, I agree. I think consistently Tree was very good mechanically in the regular season, and 30 when you transitioned back to support, you showed why you shouldn't have ever left. So I don't know why you played 80.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna explain it again. I feel like I've explained it to so many people.
That's all right. You don't have to.
Just don't worry about it, okay?
Just good job on switching back.
You learned that lesson in half a season. It took me 8 games when I tried it. So I guess we'll all just take a turn and circle jerk one of these guys. So Tree was the best player on Waifu Superstar. 100%. Like, Tree was really, really fucking good this split. And he really makes up for the fact that Salvo's actually not a very good laner. But then he also... Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. Salvo's like a Reckless or a Steelback player. He's not that good in laning phase. But Tree is so good in laning phase that it fucking can win them the laning phase plenty of times. And even when they go even, playoffs excluded, Tree's always the one that knows how to keep Salvo alive and is all the peel he needs. And the two of them just have a lot of synergy. They play together on so many teams, and we were so lucky to have that on our team because we could have easily imploded if we didn't have somebody that could handle Salvo in the bot lane. Because there are definitely people in this league that I don't think could play well with Salvo. And fortunately, we didn't have one of them. And then 30, well, I didn't vote for you. Solely because you only played 5 games in support. That was the deciding factor for me.
Yeah, it was a... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
6 games, 5 games. If you had played 10 games in support, I think you probably would have won that award first team. But you didn't.
Yeah, you could argue for respect for second. The reason I put 30 is just because you could see the difference in that bot lane once he switched back to support.
No, I definitely think
another
there's a
level
case for it.
Yeah, like it was just way different. So
Was that the team that went 2-2 to
Yeah.
they didn't drop a game for us the regular season and then went to the finals.
And then for those of you reading here,
Congratulations.
so 30 and Tree both had 6 points apiece. Resquect was only a single point behind with 5. So it was a very close race between all 3 of them. And then
I'm
Albano
not
Joe.
surprised to know he was right behind us either. Respect played really well this season.
And I'm going to stop arguing about my vote selection in Twitch chat, or I'd go off all day here. So, going to move on to our next category, which is MVP. And this was the only category that each voter had 3 votes instead of 2. So there was 15 possible votes, or points available here. Not that anyone got a unanimous MVP. And this was a really exciting category, I thought, because we got to see how different people value different things differently. So we're going to actually count this one up backwards. Going to go with 3rd place for MVP, which was Thrifty Senpai. And
What?
Interesting.
Got MVP?
you got third place MVP.
That's what I mean. I got on there.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Huh.
I honestly, I would just repeat everything I said about you as a mid laner. Like, that team
Yeah.
clearly relied on you so much to tick. I can't imagine, like I said, I can't imagine that team having won any games if you weren't on it the way they played. And, like, you would drag that team kicking and screaming into some games that were even close for a while. Like, to me, I always like to ask the question when I'm doing MVP voting, if I replace this player with the 4th best player in the league at that position, how fucked would the team be? And your team would have been really fucked. Even if that 4th best mid laner was Thor or Wang or Blabuer. Like, I just don't think any of them could have made that team super competitive the way that you did.
Alright.
And I'm guessing most people are probably going to echo that sentiment. that voted for you.
Yep.
So we'll kind of skim through that because we talked about you a lot before. There's not a whole lot to add. So second team All-Star support was Think Twice Die Once's 30, and on the wins or Blab, would either you guys like to talk about him a little bit? He was fairly high up on your ballots.
Sure. Yeah, I voted for 30 because you could clearly see that their team thrived on his shot calling. It was not him switching to support based on mechanical skill that brought that team from being 2-2 to just winning out the rest of the regular season. It was his ability to just roam the map, light up the map, clear wards everywhere, and just shot call his entire team to victory. And that's one of the biggest and most important things in this league, is having a very strong shot caller on your team. And 30 did that, and he used the strength that Purple brought from top lane. I'm assuming he called teleports and things, and let his team know when objectives were coming, and their objective game was on point the entire season after 30 was on support.
Clearly, I should have spoke faster, because pretty much everything Kyle just said is exactly why I voted 30 as my number one MVP. The night and day difference when he switched over, and not because he was stomping bot, but because their team just looked like they knew how to play the game as a whole and turn it into wins.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I thought it was really cool this season too, because we always talk up so much 30's ability to shot call every split, and we're these teams are just so much better when he's the shot caller, and we just take it for granted. But it's always, impossible to know exactly how much of an effect the shot caller has within a team, because, there's so many factors to communication on a team. But this season, we actually literally saw him go to a role where he couldn't shot call comfortably to one where he could, and it was just night and day. It was a brand new team. Obviously, they won out the last 6 games of the regular season, and it was just cleaner. You could see. I think it's safe to say that anyone that's been following this league for a while, certain shot callers, their teams have an identity, and 30's teams always have 30's identity, and it clearly was monumental for Think Twice Die Once this season.
Which is further testament that if you draft me on your team next season, you will get second.
Just second?
Yeah,
30 isn't won an SBL.
30. There was going to be a great storyline this season, guys. It was going to be AJSO versus 30. The SBL's two most infamous team captains and shot callers going at it to try to win their first SBL championship, and then the fucking SS boosted friendship came in like a bat out of hell and ruined everything.
Yeah, did we not send the script to them?
In
did
this
it get
story,
lost in
the vote
translation?
That's
Can
my
somebody
bad. I didn't
ban
have
on the
Wynn's
win from
email.
life?
I didn't have Wynn's email to forward the
Sorry, I
script
don't have
to.
life admin privileges.
Fuck. Well, speaking of TDO then, the first team, the MVP of the league, the jungler, Thermidor. We talked about him quite a bit earlier too, and I don't think there's a whole lot more to add there either. He was just so good in all of his team's games. I don't think Thermidor had a single bad game in the regular season.
No, not that I recall.
And that's pretty tough to accomplish. And for what it's worth, Thermidor was not able to join us tonight as the first team All-Star. He just had his second or third child was just born, I believe, over the weekends. Or they were expecting second child. So he's obviously busy, being a dad. But I did ask him if he was going to be able to play in Champions versus All-Stars. He made me aware of the situation. So I told him not to talk about it, but I did let him know that he was a unanimous first-team All-Star and that he had won the league MVP. And he did say, thanks for being recognized. He was very appreciated and seemed very humbled about it, which is a pretty incredible thing for an SBL MVP, because that'll probably never happen again. So, congrats to Thermidor. He was a fucking beast. It was a lot of fun to watch him all regular season.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, if he didn't have a life outside of video game.
Oh,
Like
jeez.
how high he would actually climb solo queue because he is really good at the game. Like,
Obviously, the only choice is him leaving his wife and kids.
yeah. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do for the solo
Agreed.
queue rank.
We gotta get him to the LCS, boys.
You would have told me that Thermidor was going to be winning league MVP at the start of the season. I would have asked who the F is Thermidor. And now here he is.
Yeah. That kid who plays Shyvana. Well, not kid. He's much older than me, which I found out like literally halfway through the season.
On the internet, everyone is a lie.
Yeah.
So moving on to a more fun category, we had SBL's Bust of the Season. And the criteria here, because we had two categories, there was a Bust of the Season and there was a Letdown of the Season that were different categories. Bust of the Season was entirely related to draft price. So which player you thought their draft price was the most of a detriment to their team? And I was actually surprised. I thought this would be unanimous, and sadly it was not. But it was Boy Butter's very own Tommy King Danner, the worst starting AD carry in SBL history.
This kid is gonna be tilted.
No, he's not gonna watch this. I'm pretty sure we bullied him out of
tilted.
League of Legends,
He's already
dude.
done.
But let me talk about Tommy King Danner, because there's been a lot of falsification of his kind of storyline. Once upon a time, he was a very good player. One of the best AD carries in the league. Pulled up with me in Salvo. Was solid, was reliable, was consistent. All those things you'd want to say about your AD carry. And he just kind of stayed at that level for a long time. And then at one point, he just dropped off a cliff. That point was sometime between his championship on Swift as shit, to his being benched for Kindhosen, to his tilting off the face of the earth this season. But he was a...
Kindhosen is really good.
And there's no
Yeah,
way
dude.
he should have went for a goddamn
Best
corridor.
quarter ever spent.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Kindhosen was a
King
mid laner,
for-
that's why King started AD. Just to
Yeah.
It was complicated. We've gone over this enough times on stream. So we're going to talk about King this season. Week 5, Boy Butter was down 0-4, and Boy Butter ran a game with Bard and Caitlyn in the bot lane. Albino Joe playing support. And when that game concluded, Boy Butter had lost their 5th consecutive game. The rumors of the talk of will this be the second WCF was starting to swirl. And in that post game, on stream, we looked at the graph and saw that Albino Joe's Bard had dealt more damage to champions than Boy Butter's King. And the stories have stated that at that point, the members of Boy Butter all knew what must be done. They benched King, they brought in Manlord the Miracle, and they proceeded to go 2-3 over their final 5 games. Obviously
what
not
could
good
have
enough to make
happened
the
if King
playoffs.
never played.
I fall asleep at night dreaming of that question.
You should have believed in the miracle all along.
You guys still wouldn't have made playoffs. You guys had too few champions in your pools in bot lane. But that's beside the point. King
What could we have not taken last?
was fucking atrocious this season. It was such an honor to have witnessed him playing AD carry. Yeah, I don't think he's coming back. So, and I've had people all season tell me that Master Splinter going for 1150 is the reason that team was bad. And I've done so many nights on TeamSpeak, I've gone over the players this team could have had if they had took the $3 they spent on King onto other players, and you could have easily built a first place team if you'd made the right picks. And that is why Tommy King Danner is our SBL bust of this season. But, there are a lot of people that don't think exactly like me, and 1 point behind him was Boy Butter's very own Master Splitter coming in at 1150.
This is the first time I'm glad I took second.
So,
Man, Boy Butter is tearing it up for the first time in SBL. Playoffs.
so we've got a few guys in here who actually had Master Splitter as their first vote. Would either of you like to step up and talk about?
I can chime in, I guess.
Okay, let's hear what
So-
you think, Lab.
First, I want to toss out the what I said about King. I actually have my votes open in front of me, and I made a note. I would have said K King, but that would imply I had any expectations for him to start with.
Fair enough.
So there goes King. As for Splinter, it's not that he was bad. It's that he didn't play up to 1150. And like for the first half of the season, some games it would be 20 minutes in, and then the camera would switch to Splinter clearing a buff, and I'd be like, oh yeah, he's in this game.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the season, you started seeing him get back to it, but it just wasn't enough to justify that 1150.
No player in this league is worth more than $10. That's just how it is. Like, we've seen it happen multiple times, and it's very rarely worked out.
Yep.
All right. I think we had a good boy butter hour. They got more attention in the past 5 minutes than they got all season. So, props
All right,
to
dude.
them.
We did good tonight. All stars all the way.
You did good tonight. In case you don't remember, no other member of Boy Butter was on that team.
Redemption.
And you were the third team.
Yes.
But anyway, so next up we got Bargain of the Season. So this was a category for players that went for $2 or less. And it's really funny that this one ties into two of our earlier categories, because this one goes over to TDO's Thermidor, who went for $2 exactly.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go for $2 again if he plays next season.
Better not.
Yeah, it's worth noting, Thermidor went in a fairly late round in the draft. This was just one of those right picks at the right time, and this is really what a lot of great SBL teams are about, is getting a player of a really high caliber for so cheap.
I think, well, not a lot of people talked him up. I know you talked him up, Swift, because you were on a team with him, but a lot of people didn't really see how good, like, no one saw it coming that he'd be this good.
No, I can respect
That's
that.
what's made
If
of
I
it.
was a team owner, I wouldn't have dropped $10 on him, I can tell you that much.
Well, but you said you would have?
I would not have.
Oh,
like,
okay.
even with
dude,
what I
yeah.
knew. Like, no one could have seen him be
Well, you-
this good coming. But $2, just
Right.
an absolute steal, and to me was probably the most important part of TDO's season. And since we've already talked about Thermidor twice, I think $2 for the league MVP and a unanimous All-Star, all you need to hear. So he had 8 of a possible 10 points. And second up was Waifu Superstars jungler Kragan, who went for free. Anyone want to say something nice about Kragan?
He wasn't like a complete
hard to
shitter.
beat
He did what he
value
needed to
free.
do on your team. And when you go for free and you do that, that's
Yeah,
value.
he probably was the best role player that I can remember. Like the perfect definition of a role player. I don't know, because like in
talking
my
regular
mind,
season.
a jungler should be like the main communicator. Like in the first 10 minutes of the game, he should be asking questions like almost constantly. I don't know if he does that, but he always seemed to be mostly in the right place at the right time, and he was always there for your team, and like always ulting, playing Sejuani and Gragas, whether that was not at the right time with the Jarvan ults is up
Wait,
for questioning, but for the most
Tree.
part, he was pretty on point.
Tree, are you
Yeah,
there?
what's up?
Okay, we're gonna play a game. Okay, I'm gonna repeat
Okay.
something that was just said. He's the jungler, so he should be like the main communicator on your team in the first 10 minutes of the game. Can you laugh with
Okay.
me?
I won't laugh with you. It is,
Thank you, Titus. I needed that. But no, he was a big deal. Going late in the drafts, I was so far on tilt during the draft, and it was going into one of the last rounds. I was talking with Muffin. I said, we have to get Kragan on our team, or we're going to be the last place team this season, guaranteed. And fortunately, everyone else valued Kragan even less than us, so we got him for free. Like, we Kragan was not the best player on our team, but he was so insanely valuable because if he wasn't there, we would have probably been starting Cheeseburglar. And that's the kind of stuff that keeps me awake at night, having bad thoughts. Even Wes's girlfriend knows that's fucking funny. Alright, so gonna move on to another fun SBL category. This one is letdown of the season. And this one, not quite the same as bust of the season, which was related to draft price. This is the one of just which player, relative to the expectations they had in preseason, did you think was the furthest from them? And I'm going to disappoint the boy here, but it has to be done. This one going to 2K2S's Scotchanaut.
Did I vote for him for first or second? Because I know I did vote for him.
Wes, you voted for him first. So, what did you think of Scotchanaut? I know you thought in Season 6 on that incredibly dominant, best SBL team ever, Team Salt Shaker, you definitely did not give a lot of credit to Scotchanaut compared to everyone else in the league. And in the preseason, just to add some context for people who don't remember, before the draft, this split of the SBL, everyone thought Scotchanaut was pretty much a consensus pick to just come in and be the best top laner.
No.
Because the top laners were supposed to be garbage. The top laners were supposed to be like, I'm just Dan, he just tilts off the face of the earth. Swift can't play top lane. Purple Pickle Pie maybe could be good as the only other competition. On the Wind is a silver animal.
Yep, boosted.
I did think Scotch was going to be one of the top 2, maybe 3. Guaranteed, right? His team fighting was spectacular on Salt Shaker, so I still expected him to come in and have extremely good team fighting skills. His lane phase was always his weak part of his game, which I think he was actually getting better at, but he typically doesn't just win lane outright, but he doesn't lose really, and then he'll come online later in the game. You didn't really see that at all this season, though. I think that's where you're kind of let down with that, because a lot of people were hyping him up so much. They come in and have another great season, and it just didn't happen.
Alice, he was on your team. He was supposed to be the best top laner in the SBL this season. Do you plead the fifth?
I plead the fifth.
Alright, well, I don't plead the fifth. Scotch, you gotta fucking learn how to play laning phase. Jesus Christ, you fucking pussy tank player. Darbo the Clown. Like, anytime a jungler shows up, you just get down on your knees, you pull 300 gold out of your pocket, and you're like, here you go, massa. I mean, you did get kind of unlucky that all of the top laners in the league this split ended up being strong laning phase players. I would say myself, Purple, definitely players that probably prioritize laning phase more than the rest of the game. And Dan was also, I thought, very good in laning phase, which is majority of his games. Actually, Scotchanaut never played against me. You got bodied by Salvo. Dude. Like, sad day. It was a sad day. Like I said, after we beat you guys in week 10, you gotta beat the game on normal mode before you can start the new game on Savage.
Damn,
Is this
man.
a story
Really
mode
laying
encounter?
into him.
Or is this mythic?
Now, he probably wasn't quite as bad as I'm making it sound, but I was very underwhelmed. I thought Scotch would be able to hold up a lot better. I actually don't think he was that far behind myself and Purple, but the hype was just so ridiculously high for Scotch in the preseason.
It was.
And
Yeah.
I knew people were going to be disappointed.
Yes.
Not to
So, like,
There was
put
a
that on
lot of
Scotch,
people
but-
putting him top 3 in power rankings, and no offense, Scotch, I love you, but you're not top 3 player at SBL.
yeah, I'll admit, I'm sorry, Scotch. I also love you. We play a lot. I voted for you up there as well, just
Oh,
based
you're
on
right.
where Swift put you in the rankings. Just because a lot of other people lined up, and it just so happened that it didn't work out this season.
But enough about one bad top laner. Let's talk about another bad top laner.
Oh, baby, is it
Daddy
me?
Bargain Bins Madam Stripe.
Oh, right.
Who may have put up one of the most disappointing splits in SBL history.
He got my number 1.
Dude, every season, Stripe, like, just comes in and starts playing the game again, and he's value to a team. He didn't do shit this season.
I was say this is like, oh no, as someone who knows him, real like I know Trevor, and that's like how he is. Like he comes in, he hits things hard, and then he like takes a break, and then he goes in, he finds something else, and he hits it hard, and that's how it's been with League. And every other season, he's always hit it like really, really hard, and he plays like a whole bunch of positions, and he's got some really, really good champs normally. And so I was like, oh wow, that seems to be really scary. Trevor's pretty good, and then like he'll do the same thing he's done every other season. And then this season he just didn't do it. So it was like really weird because like the rust warning, he's like one person I was not worried about with the rust warning because he's like had the rusty problem. Quotes.
It's like
yeah,
it's like every
last,
season.
Like every season pretty much. Like he doesn't play and then he'd come back and he'd play a ton during the SBL season. But didn't happen this time, so sad day, boys. He was let down.
I think that sums that up. So just filled in our last two categories here on the spreadsheet. So gonna go for rookie of the season. And I don't think these picks are gonna surprise anyone all too much. But our first pick overall for best rookie in the SBL this season was SS Boosted Friendships AD carry Evelites. I mean, when you're a unanimous all-star AD carry, and it's your first split in the SBL, in a league that's traditionally been known for having really competitive AD carry play, I think that's really all you need to know. Evelite was really, really good. Rumor has it he can play mid lane pretty well. Obviously, he had that one Vigar game in the playoffs that he was pretty dang solid in, and presumably going to be a really highly valued player in his future seasons.
Dan remembers that game.
I think Dan actually blocked that game out.
What game are you talking about?
Yeah.
Eager.
No, don't. Dan, sweet dreams. You're Kale. You're 6-0.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, but hopping on to second rookie of the season, and we could talk about these guys together. The SS Boosted Friendships starting support player, Risquect, Sasquatch. These guys were both individually really good. As a pair, they were really good, and they were ultimately the driving force in a majority of the SS Boosted Friendships games.
Yeah.
And
They deserve it.
Risquect, another guy who came into a position that very, very competitive in the SBL. Obviously, guys like 30 and Tree have always set the bar very high. Even guys like Joe, Albino Joe, who hasn't had a lot of success, has normally been able to play at a moderate level. And this was a position that was supposed to be stacked in the SBL this split. There was, I think, Vivaret, a support main, and there's probably somebody I'm forgetting. There was supposed to be, I think, 5 platinum support mains. Oh yeah, Dub Drum, also another support main. There we go. There was our 5 platinum support mains, and then there were like multiple high gold support mains. It would have been so easy for him in his first season of playing like pre-made to just come in and tilt off the face of the earth, or like not be able to handle the shot calling or whatnot. And he had a lot of internet issues early in the season, but once he got those fixed, like he was just really, really good. He was a playmaker the rest of the split.
Yeah, man. I mean, he came in, and players like Tree, who play a lot of support, even learned things from him. If you guys tuned into the All-Star game, that flash hook is called a Risquect, and Tree landed that off.
Oh, I thought you were talking about one of the ones that Tree whiffed.
No.
That's less funny. Holy shit, Jam and Justin has failed Destiny? I've been following this guy all season. I'm like, man, this guy watches every week. Like, he must have some cool friends in this league. I literally never knew that was failed Destiny. Well, that makes sense, because I was about to say him and Vivaret were also fairly competitive, but Yeah, so rookies of the season, the two boosted members, I don't think that surprises anyone, especially not in the context of the playoff run they just had. So those guys gonna probably be very highly valued next split. So gonna finish things off here with best bench, and this one, there was a lot of leeway for. There was like 7 or 8 eligible players. Anyone that didn't start 7 or more games was eligible for best bench. So both K King and Manlo the Miracle were eligible. I believe Coffee and Madam Strip were both eligible as well, and then along with the other bench players. So first team all best bench player ended up going over to Think Twice Die Once's Sword and Mace, who played one game. He played Brands. He went off, and they won. 30, how did you feel about Sword and Mace's Brands?
That guy's a baller. Oh man, that game was.
That game was tilting.
Yeah, it was like pretty stressful, but it was really fun. Like, the one moment I remember is like we like took down a mid inhib tower, and I called a rotation up to the top lane, but then I took a second glance at the death timers, and I was like, okay, never mind, that's a bad idea. And Swordbase, he just kept walking. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna push out this wave in his deep, silky voice, and I'm like, okay. And he gets stuck in a 1v2, and he almost kills both of the jabronis with Brand, but he delayed enough of the fight that we were able to take Baron or something off it. I don't know. It was really crazy. That guy is pretty good at the game for like really how little he plays. He doesn't play the game at all like anymore.
Yeah.
He plays like Street Fighter 4 and Dark Souls.
So let me tell you what went on in the comms of Boosted Friendship before and during that game. So we all get in the lobby. We're like, all right, guys, this is gonna be a really hard game. Like, I think if we try hard, like we had our bans set up. I think we were banning one of Zwerbs as champions, and then we see Sword and Mace in the lobby. We're
Also,
like,
I just want to add
what the
context.
fuck?
This was a Week 9 game between Boosted and TDO, and at this point in time, it was still possible for Boosted to not make the playoffs. So they were
This was
in
a
super
very important
try-hard
game.
mode.
Yeah, so we're in this pregame lobby. We're like, wait, Sword and Mace is playing? We go and look him up real quick. We're like, last game played 6 months ago. Guys, this is gonna be amazing. Like, they have a sub that hasn't played in 6 months. Like, this should be a lot easier than it was gonna be. Like, there's hope. We got this. And then he picks Brand. And then Cullen gets dumpstered. And then we get dumpstered. And everyone tilts off the goddamn face of the earth.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. It was
Microphone muted. Microphone activated.
So yes, this is why TDO Sword and Mace is the best bench of the season.
Yeah, so Sword and Mace getting 8 of a possible 10 votes. That was a fun game to watch. I believe I was casting that game. It was way more fun than it had any business being.
That was a fun game to cast.
And then our second selection for All-Star bench player was K King, who no, I'm just fucking with you guys. It was Manlo the Miracle.
You troll.
I was really excited to see Manlor become the starter, even though I didn't think he was going to be great. He played a little higher than my level of expectation, which was just enough to help Boy Butter turn around from an all-time awful season to just a super disappointing season, which is somebody who's been a part of 2 fifth-place teams in the last 3 seasons. There's a big difference between those two. And Manlor was just good enough for that team. And to me, the more important factor, he did get my first team selection, was that he did it for more than one game. Sword and Mace did it once. It was a flash in the pan. It was really exciting while it happened. But, like, Manlor, you knew, like, Manlor was going to, like, him and Joe were going to lose their tower, and then all of a sudden Manlor was going to just like wait for you to push and like flank you out of the river as Braum. And we'd be like, what the fuck? We're being flanked by the support. Oh no, kill, kill, kill. And they'd be knocked up and stunned. And like, I swear he probably made that exact same play like 10 times in his like 4 brand games. And it just kept working. And like Joe would just get big enough that he could like kind of have some impact in the game. And like, it just kept working. And if your bench player had been like Cheeseburger instead of Manlor the Miracle, I don't think you guys would have won those 2 games.
We'll never know.
Where are the votes for my bench? Strip and Coffee?
I actually did vote for Coffee as my second selection, but apparently he was not as valued by the rest of the league as I thought of him.
I mean, I'd definitely take him before Sword and Manlor, but... Well, Sword I only saw 1 game, but... So, off of 1 game, I guess I have to take Coffee no matter what off those.
I think I had him for my second, too.
Go count up these votes on stream.
Although I guess I'm not surprised Strip didn't get it after he apparently got let down, so...
The problem with Swift is there was a lot of hype on him.
I guess, yeah.
With Strip is that he was fucking absent in your games. Like, Strip was so fucking bad, dude. Like, I love the guy. I love that he used to have all those good seasons, but he like was legitimately the worst top laner in the league by a mile.
At the start of the season, I'd be inclined to agree with you. At the end, probably not.
I don't agree, but to each their own.
Well, did they
for what's
win
worth,
2 games or something?
Coffee and Strip did combine. They had 3 and 2 votes apiece, so those 2 combined had as many votes as Manlor.
Well, so hold on. I want to just like comment based on like your description of this category was vote for best bench as the player who you think has the highest probability of being on a starting roster next season.
Yes, that's
It
right.
isn't if they did incredibly well coming off the bench, or yeah, this person is a great bench player. They can just fill roles and stuff. It was if we had the next season right now, which of these players would have the best chance of being in a like actual starting role? So you can't just like say, "Oh yeah, Stripe was non-existent, so we can't vote for him."
No, it's more of a.
He has to be better than 6 other people.
I don't know if Strip was better than that many other people.
I
thought Manlor and Coffee were both better than more people than Strip. That's how bad I thought Strip was this split. Those were my 2 votes, was Manlor and Coffee. I thought Coffee was not great, but he was very underrated.
To be completely honest, I don't remember who I voted for.
You voted for Sword and Mace and Strip.
Okay. It was close. Like, I definitely had Sword and Mace at first. I didn't really... Like, everywhere else was up in the air.
Alright. Well, guys, that's about all the attention span I have to devote to bench players. So, I think that is going to be a wrap on Season 7 of the SBL. To everyone that played this season, thank you for showing up. Thank you for having a good time. To everyone that's watched this season, thank you even more, because it's a lot more invigorating to be casting these games and doing these events, these streams that people actually fucking watch and know that like other people in the league are going to be checking them out. Just to give you guys a quick rundown on what the plan is from here. Baddie Overwatch League, I know a lot of you are in that, starts up next Tuesday. We are planning to draft for Season 8 of the SBL within a week of the Baddie Overwatch League finals and starting immediately after that. So we are probably looking at like a late July start, maybe a mid-August. I have to see exactly what the timeline looks like for the Baddie Overwatch League. It's probably going to be mid-August is when we'll be looking to start the next split of the SBL. We'll have more details on the page as we get closer to that, obviously signups and whatnot. We'll be still running a 6-team league, no intentions of expanding, and returning players obviously have priority before we start welcoming in rookies. We're going to also potentially be looking at a slightly different format for next season. Depending on when the Baddie Overwatch League ends, we may look at a format that gets a slightly faster season through, because we would like to finish before the presumptive Season 7 patch drops in mid to late November. But we'll be kind of playing that a little closer to that point in time.
Best of 3, because NA can't handle ties, right?
I'm not going to go into formats. There's a lot of different things I've considered. Obviously, we have run one shortened season in the past. It won't be that short of a season, but there's ideas floating around. You'll probably hear more from me privately. I don't want to waste half an hour going over all the things I've thought about on stream. And then the last thing is there is going to be an official Swain off-season tournament, and that is going to be a tournament where you get to sign up with the team you pick to try and take out the teams that are better than you. Tentatively called the Team Swain Summer Invitational. There'll be more details on that as well, but I would highly recommend playing some ranked in the off time. Maybe try to play some pre-made with people you've been interested in playing with. I know I'm going to be working on building the next great Team Swain as we're going to start getting ready for LAN season next semester, and I gladly welcome all challengers on that front. There'll be more details coming out probably in the next few weeks about that. But I guess all that's left to say is you're all shit. Thanks for tuning in.
Boost more.